Hey everyone, today I'm doing my first video talking about my Synology NAS. I feel like with a lot of people working from home right now, the app I'm about to cover will be a godsend to some of you. It saved my bacon multiple times and has saved me countless hours. This video is longer than my previous ones, but there's a lot of info to cover, so hopefully you will get something out of it. So, some quick background first. I've been using Synology NASs for as far back as I can remember. In my closet I have my original DS110J, along with a DS115J, both of which were replaced with my newer DS218 Plus, which is the one I'll be talking about today since I believe the app is specific to Synology's with the x86 CPUs. Now the app I'll be covering today is the Active Backup for Business app. I wish the name was shorter, but that's really the only complaint I have. It's a very robust app for backing up your entire home, business, or any other local environment, but it's also extremely simple to use. I expected this to be a multi-part series, but once I had all the footage recorded, I realized how few steps there actually were to use it. Good job, Synology. Okay, so the first step to setting up a device is to go download the agent from Synology's website, and we're going to go ahead and install it. So go ahead and navigate to the download center, type in your NAS device, go ahead to Desktop Utilities, scroll down, look for the backup agent, download the correct version for your device, go ahead and run it. I'm just going to click next, 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 all the way through. Then once it's installed, go ahead and launch it. Now you want to go ahead and enter in your Synology NAS information and your username and your password, of course. Okay, let it go ahead and connect. Okay, accept the SSL certificate. Okay, here's a quick summary. Click OK. And you are set. You can go ahead and open it up to check it. And you can see there that it is already starting to back up. Now, I'm backing up a netbook over Wi-Fi, so this is going to take a while. So I went ahead and logged into the Synology Disk Station Manager because I want to show off the Active Backup for Business application in there. Before I open that up, just want to take note over here, the storage widget over here. So I have two 10 terabyte drives in RAID 1, which gives me an actual usable capacity of about 8.7 terabytes. So just wanted to note that for now because I've got something interesting to show you after I open this up. So you open up the application, and this is the overview / dashboard that gives you basically an overview of your Active Backup for Business. Right here is all the predictive devices. It gives you a count of how many PCs, virtual machines, physical servers, and file servers you have backed up. The backup calendar, which basically gives you a quick view of which days had issues backing up and which ones were successful. Shows you your success, fails, and warnings. Warnings are indicated right here. So it had 3 successes, 1 warning that day. You can click on it and it'll bring you to the task history. So right here the warning was partially complete, meaning one of these VMs did not get backed up. I believe it was the cache box because it was being restored at the time. If it's being restored, it can't be backed up, so gave a warning for that. And down here, when I was first getting everything set up, I had a failure. My gaming PC failed to back up. I believe I killed the backup in the middle of it because I had to move some data around so it wasn't backing up all my Steam games and stuff like that. I ended up setting it up so it backs up everything now, but at the time I just canceled it and caused a failure. So, ongoing activities, if you have backups or restores running, it'll show you the task that's running, and I believe it gives the percentage also. But here you can click on the task and it'll bring you straight to that task that's running. Last backup time. So these are all my devices that are being backed up currently. Basically, it gives you a date if you hover over it. If it was within the past 24 hours, it says right here, past 24 hours. If it was longer than that, it'll tell you what day or how many days, I believe. So, device name, which is the name of the PC or VM or physical server, file server, and the task that is used for backing that up, because you can have multiple tasks for different devices. So, storage status. So this is why I mentioned earlier that I had roughly 8.7 terabytes of usable space, because if you look here, I'm backing up about 9 terabytes of data on 8.7 terabytes of space. That's because deduplication. So because of deduplication, saves me about 5.7 terabytes. So that is really awesome that my, I think it was $200 Synology NAS is able to do this. That is insane. So I don't have to pick and choose what data I want to back up. I just back up everything, and for me, I have mostly Windows 10 PCs, so a lot of the same files get deduped, so it doesn't have to back up 10 copies of Windows 10. Or I guess probably have about 6 copies of Windows 10, but still. It saves a lot of space by using deduplication. That is awesome. So then here's the logs. Just gives you a quick overview of what's going on. Shows you when a client is offline. Shows you when a backup's complete. Here's where we connected to this to the active backup for business from the netbook. Then it created the backup task itself, which is the default task that it creates. It started it, then it finished it. It was about 33 gigabytes of storage that it backed up, and over a Wi-Fi connection, it did it in about 50 minutes or so. So, not too bad. So the transmission trends, this is so you can actually track how much the backups are using each day. So you can go ahead and rank it by device, day. I usually don't use this. It only came in handy because, as you can see, there's a very flat line here. Yeah, yesterday I realized that my SSL certificate on my NAS had updated. So because my SSL certificate had updated, you had to go to each client and accept the new SSL. So you had to open the app and click I accept. So that was very annoying, but yeah, I did not get backups for any of these days for my physical devices. All my virtual machines did backup though. So that is good. Yeah, I don't really use the transmission trends that much. So we go over here and PCs. These are my physical PCs. It's just a quick overview of the devices. You can open it up and it tells you when the last backup ran, how many versions are out there for you to restore from. It tells me a little bit about the actual PC itself. So Windows 10 64-bit. That's the version that's installed. If the client that's installed is an older version, it'll tell you that a new version is available right up here. And you can go ahead and install it. So this one is actually online, as you can see. This one, the JD Tiny, that one's offline. But you can still look at the information about it from when it was online. So here are the versions that are available. As you can see, it didn't back up between the 10th and the 24th, unfortunately. But I can restore all the way back from December of last year when I believe that's when I first started doing backups of these. So I can go back to the last day of December, last day of February. I don't know why I don't have a January one, but if worst case scenario, I go back to December. So from here, you can also look at the tasks list. So each device gets its own task. You can go in here and play around with it. So this is the default task that this created once I added the netbook to the application. So I always keep the name default because all my devices are named differently, so I know exactly, which one is which, basically. So this one's backing up the entire device. You can specify if you want, just the system volumes, or you can customize it.
I just back up everything. It's easier that way. I keep those just enabled just because. Scheduled backup. So yeah, I have it set to run at 8 a.m. I keep this default. I believe I have one device that I do only on the weekends, but it's only because it's usually not powered on during the week, so I don't need to back it up when it's not on. I also have this always set to startup, so that if, say, the netbook is offline for a while, I turn it on, it'll do a backup as soon as it's basically start up the next time after it had missed a scheduled one. So backup interval 6 hours, so if I keep rebooting it, it's not going to keep doing a backup of it. It basically says, oh, there was a backup within the last 6 hours, so it's not going to keep doing it after a reboot. You can set this to 12, 24, whatever you want. I just leave it at the default of 6 just because if I get multiple backups in one day, it's not that big of a deal. You can set here, I've never actually used this, but I believe it has to do with how you can set up Windows to allow, I think it might be a power management thing, I'm not sure. I can't recall offhand, but I just leave it unchecked for Windows. So retention, you can do keep all versions if you got the storage for it. I think this is the default and that's what I keep it at. So keep only the latest 3 versions, so it'll keep today, tomorrow, the next day. Keep all versions for 1 day, but it'll only do, so after you go through a week, it'll go, I believe it saves on Sunday. So it'll keep, so it'll go back 4 weeks with Sunday backups, I believe, and it'll keep the last day of each month, and then it'll keep the last day of each year for 3 years. So, oh, the first day of the week is Sunday. So I believe it saves on Sunday or Saturday, I cannot recall. But for the day of the month, it always does the last day, which I don't know why it says here first month of the year is January, but everybody knows that? Okay. So nothing really big to go over there. So I don't actually have any physical servers that I'm backing up, so don't really have anything to show here. I also do not have a file server to show off because my NAS is my file server. I do have a ESXi host set up. So here are my VMs that I'm backing up. So I have one Windows VM, the rest are Linux. So thankfully you don't have to install a client on each one. You just have to set up the vSphere itself. And then from there, the vSphere will scan all of the VMs that are available. So I always have it save at the default active backup. This is my vSphere host. And I'm able to drill down if you have different clusters or whatnot. And then you select which VMs you want to back up with this task. So every time you add a new VM, you have to go into the current task, which I'll show you right here. You have to edit this, open this up, and then you have to check what any new VMs that you add. It doesn't automatically get added, or you can create a new task specifically for certain VMs. I'm gonna go back here real quick. So just wanted to do the drop down real quick just to show you. So it basically gives you all the specs of the VM itself. So this one is running Ubuntu. I gave it 2 cores, it's got 2 gig of RAM. I cannot remember what CBT setting is. And then it shows all the hard disks. Unfortunately for VMs, you have to back up every hard disk. You cannot exclude some. So I wish I could exclude this 2 terabyte drive, but I'm unable to, so. And then this one I have saving 10 versions. So this one has been backing up every day, so which is why there's 10 versions when the other one only had 7. So back to the task. And it tells you the VM count here too, so you could be like, oh, I have more than 5. Gotta remember to update this. So I believe all of these are the default settings which I have left. When you do create this, you can enable backup verification if you have the Synology Virtual Machine Manager installed. This is really good if you literally want to test that the backups are working for your VMs. So you can set it to actually restore from backup. It takes a little video, and then you can review the video to make sure that it actually restored. So you can configure actual scripts that it pushes to. I think it's the invoke command that'll push to the VMs through the VMware tools. I don't actually use this, but like if you needed to stop a service so that you get a clean backup, this is where you can set it up. Schedule, I have this one running at 3 just because I'm usually not using my VMs at 3 a.m. So fine with these kicking off at 3 a.m. Retention, same as before. Then privilege, and you can set who can access these. I don't know why this one is not on the PC or physical, but I'm guessing because the VMs could be shared by multiple people, whereas the devices usually have, single user. Not that big of a deal here. And then storage itself just basically tells you how many devices it's saving, if there's anything running, and then here's the deduplication ratio that I was explaining earlier. So 2.72 times, that's pretty damn good. So if you actually do a restore, you can actually watch the task here. It has a status, which, it'll give you the progress bar, how long it's been running, all the information about that. Activities, just the logs. Basically tells you what's going on with each of the backups, with the clients, all that fun stuff. Depending on your setup, you might want to set this to more concurrent devices. I do too, just because I have gigabit Ethernet on my network, so I usually max out the port speed before I hit any other bottlenecks, so I usually just have 2 running at a time. I think it also has an impact on the CPU, which it's only a dual core Intel Celeron, I believe, in the disk station 218 Plus. So I just go with 2. Not sure what this is. Left it at default. Template, I believe this is the task template. Yes, so whenever you add a new device, you can use this template. So you don't have to go in and configure each individual template. So yeah, don't need it for PC backups, but yeah. So simple enough. And this is basically all the information you need. So let's hop back on the netbook, and I'll show you how to do a restore of an individual file or folder. So first we're going to go ahead and delete the test file. I'm going to empty the recycling bin. Okay, now it's gone. So now we're going to open the restore portal. It should automatically log you in. Now you want to select the disk/volume that you want to do the file or folder restore from. Navigate to that file or folder. Now select the file and click the restore button. Now if you're restoring a deleted file, you can go ahead and leave this unchecked. Now go ahead and click OK, and that'll kick off the restore. Now you can click up here to see the actual restore task, but because the file was so small, it completed so quickly. And the file is back on the desktop. Let's go ahead and open it up. Looks good. The file has been restored. And you can check in here for the log data. Shows you when it started, when it completed. And that is the process in a nutshell. Okay, so we just saw how to restore individual files and folders on a device. But what happens if you can't log into that device? What if the OS is no longer working, or the hard drive died and you had to replace it? Do you need to install an OS from scratch and restore each file? No, you can actually do a bare metal restore, and it does not have to be the same hard drive either. I've done bare metal restores on new hard drives. The only caveat is the hard drive has to be the same size or bigger. It will not work on a hard drive that's smaller, even if the storage that is backed up is smaller. It just doesn't work for me. First, you need to go to the Synology website, go to the download center, type in the model of your NAS, desktop utilities, and scroll down. So you're going to want to go underneath the agent where it says Synology Active Backup for Business Recovery Media Creator. So go ahead and download that. And once that is downloaded, you go ahead and unzip it. I already have it unzipped. Go to the directory where you unzipped it at. Then you want to go find an old USB stick that's at least 1 gigabyte in size. Doesn't matter if it's USB 2 or USB 3. The backup will run at the same speed regardless of which one you choose. Then you want to go ahead and launch the creator after you've installed it. I went ahead and formatted mine before I started this process, but you don't really need to. I have an old 4 gig USB stick in there. So go ahead and create. It's going to format it for you anyways. Now you sit and play the waiting game. Okay, so on step 11, it's going to start formatting the drive. At this point, it unmounts and then remounts the drive. You will get this pop-up in Windows. If you click Format Disk, it'll fail, so that's a good thing. Go ahead and cancel it though, just so it gets it out of there. Now this process does take a little while. It would go faster if you had a USB 3.0 stick, but I feel like that's kind of a waste of a USB 3.0 stick when in reality you're going to install this one time and then hopefully just leave it in a drawer to use it whenever you need it. It's not going to be something that you will just make on demand as you need it. Okay, now it is ready. Finish, and it opens it up. Here's what it looks like. Okay, so while I was creating that restore media, I may have accidentally deleted the System32 directory off of the netbook. I mean, that's not important, right? Uh-oh, looks like that System32 directory was pretty important. Wonder what I'm going to do now. So first thing you need to do is boot into the restore media that you created. This may take a while, so just go ahead and be patient. Okay, now it is loaded up. You can check in the corner that there is network connectivity, so go ahead and click next. Now you want to enter in the information for the Synology NAS where you have the backups stored at. Okay, go ahead and accept the SSL certificate. Okay, there's only one restore point basically, so we're going to go ahead and select that. On this page, you can select whether you want to restore the entire device or just the system volume, or if you want to pick specific volumes to restore. In this case, we have only one drive on the device, so we're going to restore the entire device. So even though we've only done one backup, there seems to be two versions here. We're just going to go with the oldest one. And here's a quick summary of what's going to be restored for this device. Click OK. And now we wait. And this will probably take a while, even over a 1 gigabit Ethernet connection, so go ahead and find something else to do. Come back a little later, check on it. For the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and cut some of this out and speed it up a bit. And that is it. The restore is now complete. It took about 18 minutes total for, I believe it was 33 gigabytes of data, so not too shabby. So now we just click finish. Go ahead and remove the USB drive. I'm also going to disconnect the Ethernet. And I'm going to go ahead and click restart. Are you sure? Yep. Okay, let's see if it can boot into Windows. And after waiting a little bit, we are in Windows 10. So I'm going to go ahead and log in with my user. First time after a restore, the login usually takes a while. Don't be alarmed. Just wait it out. It's going to be fine. And here we are logged into the desktop. And this is the test file to show that it's a restore and not a clean install. The test file looks good. And the notebook looks good. It's good as new, except better because it has all your stuff on it still.
I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something from it. I want to make a lot more videos regarding Synology's NASs and backups in general. If you have any suggestions for what kind of videos you'd like to see around these types of topics, let me know in the comments below. If you currently back up your data, I'd love to hear about your methods, so let me know in the comments below or ping me on Twitter also. If you're not backing up your data, then why not? Seriously, don't wait until you get burned before you decide to start keeping backups. It's so easy and affordable these days, there's no reason not to. But I'll save that rant for another video. Thanks for watching. Peace out.